Welcome back, everybody. Ready for another deep dive? Today, we're digging into Bajaj Finance's Q2FY25 investor presentation, fresh out October 22nd, 2024.
Yeah, this one's interesting right off the bat. Bajaj Finance calls it a mixed quarter. So, we're in for some ups and downs, not just a straightforward success story.
Right out the gate, they're setting the stage for a more complex picture, which, let's be honest, is usually more realistic anyway.
Absolutely. So, to understand this whole mixed situation, we have to look at the good and the not so good. The raw numbers, they do scream growth. 29% year-on-year jump in assets under management, that's massive.
So the total value of assets they're managing has gone way up. But, is that always a good thing?
It's a piece of the puzzle, right? On top of that, 9.69 million new loans, almost 4 million new customers, they're definitely expanding their reach.
Okay, so growth is there, but Bajaj Finance themselves admit that loan losses have been cutting into profit growth. It's like they're growing, but at what cost?
And that's the million-dollar question. Their answer seems to be this omnipresence strategy they keep talking about.
Omnipresence. So, they want to be everywhere.
Exactly. And I mean everywhere. Walking down the street in India, you'll probably pass a Bajaj Finance branch. They've gone up 8% in locations, hitting a crazy 4,245 across the country.
Wow, they're not messing around with that brick-and-mortar presence.
Yeah.
But it's 2024. Everyone's online, right?
You know it. And Bajaj Finance knows it too. Their app has 61.67 million users. So they're not just about physical branches. It's like they're covering all their bases.
Smart move. Cast a wide net, catch more customers in that huge Indian market. But hold on, they're not just about loans anymore, are they? They're getting into, the whole financial supermarket thing.
Totally. Bajaj Finance is part of this big ecosystem now, right? Housing finance, securities, even insurance. They're aiming to be the one-stop shop for everything money-related.
Ambitious. But we got to address the elephant in the room. Credit quality.
Cool.
They're upfront about the fact that gross NPA and net NPA are both up year on year. That's got to be a concern, right?
Yeah, investors are definitely keeping an eye on that. Bajaj Finance blames this rise in defaults on people juggling multiple unsecured loans. It's a sign that maybe some borrowers are getting in over their heads.
The classic over-leveraging problem. Borrow from one to pay another, and eventually, boom.
It's definitely a risk, no doubt. But to Bajaj Finance's credit, they're not just sitting there hoping for the best. They're tightening their lending standards, especially for people with a bunch of loans already.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So making it harder to borrow if you're already carrying a lot of debt.
Right. Got to ensure responsible lending and all that. They're also taking a good hard look at their existing loans, particularly those unsecured ones. They're projecting a decline in the loan loss to asset under finance ratio next quarter. Basically, they think they can get a handle on this.
Cautious optimism, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
All right, so they're dealing with the risk, but let's switch gears a bit. They also talk about focusing on their existing customers, not just getting new ones.
The good old cross-selling strategy. It's a classic in finance, but does it actually work?
Well, does it? Spill the beans.
Seems like it does for Bajaj Finance. As of September 30th, 2024, they've got 57.7 million customers in their cross-sell franchise. So yeah, they're getting people to use more than just one of their products.
So walk in for a loan, walk out with a credit card, some insurance, maybe even investment advice. They're really going for that whole package deal.
That's the idea. Becoming a trusted financial partner, not just some random lender, builds loyalty, creates more revenue streams for them, win-win, potentially.
Diversifying their offerings, just like you diversify a portfolio. Smart. But okay, let's circle back to those loan defaults for a sec, specifically the ones with multiple unsecured loans. That's got to be a red flag for the Indian economy as a whole, don't you think?
It's definitely something to watch.
Yeah.
Points to a broader issue of debt burden, right? As more people get access to credit in a growing economy, making sure they use it responsibly becomes super important.
It's a tightrope walk for sure. Promote financial inclusion, but avoid over-indebtedness. Tough needle to thread.
No doubt. And while Bajaj Finance is tightening things up, managing that risk, the fact that they're still projecting growth means they're optimistic about India's future.
Cautiously optimistic, just like we said before. Okay, so this investor presentation, it's like a gold mine of information, way more than we can cover. We've hit the highlights, the stuff that really matters for understanding how Bajaj Finance is doing right now.
We've given you the cheat sheet, but the full playbook, all the nitty-gritty details, that's on Bajaj Finance's website for anyone who wants to really go down the rabbit hole.
Dive into those spreadsheets, folks. But for now, let's zoom out a bit. What is Bajaj Finance's performance, this whole growth and risk balancing act? Tell us about the Indian financial market in general.
Now, there's the big question. The Indian market, it's constantly changing, impacted by so many things. We're talking consumer spending, global economics, regulations. It's a lot to keep track of.
No kidding. But one thing's for sure, big players like Bajaj Finance, they're not just along for the ride. They're shaping how this whole thing plays out with every decision they make.
100%. Their successes, even their failures, they have ripple effects throughout the entire financial system. That's why understanding their moves is so crucial.
It's like they're playing a high-stakes game of chess, and we're watching them make their moves in real time.
A very fitting analogy. So, to bring it all together, Bajaj Finance's Q2, it really highlights the dynamism of the Indian financial landscape, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's a story of ambition, innovation, but also, let's be real, a good dose of risk-taking.
And that brings us to the big question, the cliffhanger, if you will. Will this omnipresence strategy be their winning move?
It's a bold play, no doubt, but as we've seen, it's not without its challenges. Those rising loan defaults, especially the ones with multiple unsecured loans, that's a curveball they're going to have to navigate.
Exactly. Can they keep growing aggressively while also managing risk effectively? It's a tough balancing act. Though they seem to think they can, projecting those loan losses to shrink as a proportion of their total loans next quarter.
Well, we'll be watching closely to see how that plays out. The beauty of the market, right? Always changing, always unpredictable. Keeps things interesting.
Keeps us on our toes, that's for sure. And that's what we aim to do with these deep dives. Go beyond just the numbers. Really understand the story those numbers are telling.
The story of a company, a market, a whole financial system, it's fascinating stuff when you really dig in. And Bajaj Finance's Q2 performance, that's a story with twists, turns, and a whole lot of potential.
Speaking of digging in, for anyone who wants to explore further, remember, we've just scratched the surface here. The full investor presentation, it's a goldmine of data.
Go check it out. But until next time, keep those financial brains engaged, keep asking questions, and we'll catch you on our next deep dive.